Well, today was the day. Today was the day that we learned a lot about where we're headed, what is going to be coming next for infrastructure and stimulus. So today was a pivotal day. What we know is that just a short while ago, President Biden has decided to end negotiations with the lead GOP negotiator, Shelley Moore Capito, and he decided that after only speaking to her on the phone for a few minutes, according to reports, they spoke for about 3 minutes, and it was clear that the two sides were just too far apart to come to any agreement for a bipartisan infrastructure bill. What we know is that the two sides were so far apart, not only on the size of the package. Obviously, President Biden still wanted to be closer to 1.7. We knew that the GOP, they actually proposed a bill closer to $1.1 trillion. However, that wasn't all new money. And here's the thing that most people aren't understanding is that even though the two offers seem pretty close, 1.7 to 1.1, the problem is 1.7 was all new money. That's $1.7 trillion in new spending. The 1.1 trillion was only about 400 billion only, right? Only 400 billion, but it's about 400 billion dollars in new funding. The rest was actually coming from other infrastructure or other money that was doled out in the stimulus package. So that's kind of where President Biden was like, you know what? We're just too far apart. It was that, and it was obviously how the bills would be paid for. Republicans wanted to take money back from the stimulus package, the American Rescue Plan. So yes, the stimulus money that's still going out, Republicans wanted to take it back. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad move in some cases. Some stimulus was actually just wasted because it's still sitting there. Others is still being used and is essential to everyday living for the American people and for businesses. So that was another thing. And then key legislation. What Democrats wanted in the next bill and what Republicans wanted, they were just too far apart. So as of right now, according to reports, the new infrastructure package is going to, and stimulus, this is all going to kind of, come from a bipartisan group of senators. And I explained this the other day. I mentioned this morning as well. What we know is the Biden administration and the White House will be turning their attention towards this new group of bipartisan senators to come up with an infrastructure package. What we know, this package is actually being led by Kyrsten Sinema, Mitt Romney, Joe Manchin, Susan Collins, Rob Portman, others like that as well. Very influential senators. And right now, this bill that is still being prepped, according to reports, the rumor is this is going to be roughly $900 billion. I think I stated yesterday it was about 920 to 930 billion. I think that's about where they're going to stay. The reports are indicating that it will be under $1 trillion. Now, the reason why I want to bring this up and why is this so important, not only for infrastructure, but for stimulus as well and for the American people, it's actually pretty simple. What we know is that, and again, it seems like we're going backwards, right? Seems like, well, we got so close, we were only $600 billion apart, and now we're going backwards. Well, the truth is we're actually getting closer now with this new group of senators because this is actually bipartisan. The last bill, the GOP offer, was just a Republican proposal. That was it. And President Biden was like, all right, we got to take it or leave it. Well, I'm going to leave it. In this one, they're actually willing to negotiate and get both Democratic sides and Republican sides together and try to get a deal done. Here's what we know. This is a step in the right direction. This means that President Biden is willing to negotiate. He's also willing to sit down with this group of senators once he gets back from Europe this week. But he's willing to sit down with this group of bipartisan senators because there's two people in this group, Senator Joe Manchin and Senator Kyrsten Sinema. Those are the two that are being the toughest to crack. And right now, what I can tell you is if he gets a little bit closer, if we can start to see movement, that's actually a good thing. And that being that these two moderate Democrats are in this group, this is actually going to be a huge help for President Biden and Democrats to try to get a deal done. Now, the only bad news, and this is something I said earlier this week, is expect more delays. Well, that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. We knew that it was like March 27th or 28th, or actually May, excuse me, it was May 27th or May 28th, that this infrastructure package was supposed to be negotiated, done, and we're going to get it, finalized. Well, then they pushed it back, And then it was, no, let's get it done by like June 4th or something. Then it was like, no, we can't do it then. Let's do June 7th. That was yesterday. It was like, okay, well, that's not going to happen. Let's do June 9th, which is tomorrow. And still, that's not going to happen. What we know is that President Biden is leaving to go to Europe tomorrow. But he told this new group of bipartisan senators to expect multiple calls from him throughout this next week. So we'll see what happens, while he's gone. But my expectation is we are going to see some more movement. We'll get a little bit closer, and hopefully this will be good news for the American people. Now, something else that happened today. And I want to explain this and want to be very clear with what this means, because this could potentially mean more stimulus, because we are going to lose stimulus in other ways or other parts of the economy. Here's what we know. A report came out today about how there are actually more jobs available than many people expected or anticipated. Currently, there's about 9.3 million available jobs, which means, according to experts, that they say there is enough work to go around so that this could actually propel the economy. What many people are saying right now is that if this works out like many people are expecting, the unemployment rate will drop, the federal unemployment benefits will not be needed as much, and we will see a huge difference in the economy. That's what people are saying. Now, here's the reason why I wanted to bring this up, because I think this is extremely important. But economists believe that once the economy opens back up, and not to 100%, once it opens up closer to 95 to 100%, they feel that many employees will then have the leverage. Okay, let me restate that. Many employees, the workers, will now have more leverage than the employer, because there will be all these jobs available. Somebody could quit their job, and you could walk into your employer's office and say, you know what, Billy, I'm going to quit today if you don't give me a 25-cent per hour raise. And even though there's a lot of jobs available, and you can go and do that, this is going to give the employees more leverage than the employer. That's at least according to some economists. So that would actually be a good thing. That means the employees, us workers, would get more money per hour. Now, if workers start to make more money, then the talks of a permanent, let me rephrase this again. We have seen in the past where some lawmakers were pushing for pretty much universal basic income to the people that are unemployed. They say that the first month of unemployment is just so difficult because you got you have a waiting week for, I think, most states. And then on top of that, many people are like, I lost my job, what do I do? They're kind of down in the dumps for a little bit. And so a few lawmakers were saying, well, why don't we make this a permanent fixture? Why don't we make this federal unemployment boost of $300 per week? Why don't we make this something that you get for the first month? Because then it would kind of help the people that are on unemployment to not just go and find any job out there, but to go and find the correct job. That's what we were hearing. Again, that was months ago. But some were saying that this would actually end those talks because now we would have an even stronger economy and that everybody would benefit in the end. Meaning that if we don't give out the $300 per week in unemployment benefits on the federal level, then we can take that $300 that we were spending, we could take it and spend it elsewhere to the dire need, wherever that is, whether it's people on, students or, families, children, right? We've been hearing this for a while. The child tax credit's coming out next month. So my guess is children aren't going to need it, parents aren't going to need it, but who's being left out? Well, we know people on Social Security are still being left out. And that is where the talks have been kind of progressing, is who is still in need? Students, right? Well, we know how they can get relief. Student loan forgiveness. That's up to President Biden. But the other thing, the biggest one, is people on Social Security. Social Security recipients are having a very tough time. Veterans, people that are fighting for our country, are having a very difficult time just living simply because they do not have enough money. And that is a huge issue. So after I spent a lot of time looking at different studies, watching countless interviews, reading a lot of articles, just watching different videos, the group that is most in need of instant relief are people on Social Security, SSI, SSDI, veterans. That's who needs the money right now. This group has seen their income stay the same if not go down a little bit. But the biggest difference in this is their expenses have gone up. And that's where lawmakers are saying that we can't really do a whole lot about the expenses part, but we can provide more income. Lawmakers actually can. Okay, just give you an example. Lawmakers could step in and try to do some stuff to, kind of curb the inflation fears, right? This is something that Janet Yellen stated the other day. What if we just have the Fed increase interest rates, that will bring down inflation, and it does, and it works very well. But that would also probably crash some parts of the economy. It would hurt Wall Street. So as an investor, I wouldn't be very happy with that, but it also means there's more opportunity out there. So you got to look at both sides. But the facts as of right now is that Congress is actually hesitant to pass additional relief just to people on Social Security. And the quickest way to do this would be a stimulus check, or like one person called it today, a stimmy. But that's where we're at, is Congress would be hesitant to pass stimulus checks to only people on Social Security or the lowest income individuals, because they would be fearful that this could hurt them during an election year. So what we are actually hearing, and again, this is interesting, and I know stuff like this happens every single year, but this is what we're hearing now. Again, we're in the first week of June. We are hearing that Congress would rather pass or wait until this fall, till September or October, to pass another round of stimulus checks if they do. And this would simply because would be coming in time for the elections. Now, it would be very difficult for Congress to wait an entire year, pass another round of stimulus checks all of a sudden, because if Democrats will hold the majority at that time, if they're holding the majority, they can be like, well, Democrats are the ones that passed this stimulus check, you should vote for us. Right? And just using taxpayer dollars to buy our votes. We've seen it before. It's not going to end anytime soon. And this could help. This could help lawmakers win back their seats or try to regain control, whether it's a Republican or Democrat. We know that the problem right now is that people are still waiting. Let me just ask you this. If you're on Social Security, SSI, SSDI, you're a veteran, would you be able to wait an additional 3 to 4 months for a stimulus check or for additional assistance, or do you need the money today? My guess, and you'll answer in the comment section below, but my guess is you need the money today. You do not want to wait. So here's what we can expect. What I expect for people on Social Security, SSI, SSDI, I expect a very hard look into who actually needs the money, how they plan on spending the money, and how soon they will need it. Okay? And I say this because many experts are anticipating right now that we will most likely see a greater cost of living adjustment for 2022. So for 2021, COLA, the cost of living adjustment for people on Social Security, was only 1.3%, which was devastating. There was actually proposals for, I think, like a 5.6% cost of living adjustment, which would have been great for many people. But the average American, the average Social Security beneficiary, only received about a $20 raise or increase to their benefits per month. So it was almost a slap in the face. But some experts are anticipating that we will see a greater cost of living adjustment for 2022. However, that does very little for people at this time. We'd have to wait until January of next year. So 6 months, 7 months, whatever it is. Yeah, most people cannot wait for that. Most people are struggling to just make it 1 month or a week. So waiting 7 months is out of the question. But experts also believe that if looking into the needs of people on Social Security, what we are going to see is that possibly another tax credit. We could potentially see prescription vouchers. We heard from President Biden or President Trump at the time wanted to do a prescription voucher. I think it was like for $350 or something like that, which would have helped out many people. But this was something that was deemed illegal, or was just a tactic to buy votes right before the election. So this was something that he wasn't able to do. But it's something along those lines. That is what experts are predicting, that Congress is going to come forward with not a stimulus check per se, but more like a tax credit, more like some type of voucher, some type of something, right? They're going to come up with something different that could be bipartisan, but it would help out many people. And as of right now, okay, and how soon you need the money. My guess is you need it now. The money's been long overdue for months, and you don't want to wait. But again, we'll have to see what happens there. My guess is Congress is going to go back and forth over the next few weeks. The deadline as of right now is what many are expecting to get this done. If it's bipartisan, they want to get this infrastructure package deal done by July 4th. That is the current expectation. That's exactly what Nancy Pelosi stated as well. However, some say if it's bipartisan, it would most likely happen in the next 2 weeks, so it would happen about a week early. However, if it's not bipartisan and Democrats have to use a budget reconciliation, don't expect to get this done until maybe the end of July. If not, maybe the first couple weeks of August, and Congress would have to delay their recess about 1 to 2 weeks to get the deal done. So that's kind of what we're hearing at this time. Now, I want to clarify something really quick, because I know, this is something that, for one, I think is extremely important. The new bipartisan group of senators that President Biden will be dealing with is going to be easier for President Biden to deal with. They will be much easier to deal with than the GOP negotiator. But they're also going to be extremely careful about how much money goes out, how much new money. They'll be very careful with who gets it and where it goes. So expect Democrats to move forward with the budget reconciliation sometime very soon. My guess is we will hear talks on a budget resolution. Okay, that's the first part of the reconciliation process. You got to go through a budget resolution. My guess is we're going to hear about that probably within the next, I'd say sometime this week, because we know the Democrats are just getting tired of waiting for the Republican Party to get back to them and negotiate, and in good faith at least. And so right now, I believe that's what we're going to hear. Again, don't quote me on that. I'm not an expert. That's just me anticipating what we might hear over the next few days and possibly into next week. But my guess is maybe this week, if not next week, at the latest, we will get talks of the budget resolution that will start the budget reconciliation process. So as I know more, I promise I will fill you in on all the latest news and updates. Just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Have an incredible evening. Consider subscribing so that I can keep you updated on everything that's going on, and I'll see you guys on the next one.